So you were saying about the pure gameplay, fun gameplay, but it seems like it's more than just enjoyment for you because we all know the famous picture of you and Reggie waiting out there for how long was it?
Yeah.
2 days?
Well,
2.5 days?
which one? Which one? Because I've
Which
done
one?
it.
You tell me.
For the Nintendo Wii, it was a month.
A month?
Yeah.
You sat in one spot for a month?
Yes.
What did your wife think?
Well, no, she divorced me
Oh, okay.
a long time ago too. But the only break I got was Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy kind of broke up the line.
Right.
But outside of that, I only did that 1 month bid because that was my final launch that I was going to stand in the line for.
Yeah.
And because I did it 8 times in a row. In fact, I did it so much that Nintendo gave me Nintendo and Guinness World Record, along with Twin Galaxies, gave me the world record for it.
So what drove you to do to be first in line for
I
Nintendo
missed
consoles?
I missed a launch for Zelda Wind Waker. I came there first because I wanted to be the first person to get it, and they didn't open up the GameStop yet. And the guy said, "Come back at 6 o'clock." So I said, "All right, let me go to Burger King and get something to eat." Went to Burger King. I said, "All right, guys, it's like 30 minutes before they're gonna open the doors, so we can stand in line." And I went back there 15 minutes to, and I got there. 3 people were ahead of me. And I was like, wait a minute, how are these people standing here? It's not 6 o'clock yet. And he's like, yeah, well, we just decided to let them in early. So I'm like, oh man, whatever. Well, at least I'll be one of the people to get the game. And a rep from Nintendo came out and gave a parchment scroll of the entire world of Wind Waker to the first person in line. And I said to myself, never again will I ever be second in line. If I have to come here days in advance, I'm going to come and I'm going to sit there and stay there. Then that turned into a tradition. And then I end up doing it 8 times. 8 different Nintendo software and hardware titles have been #1, and then Guinness World Records.
So how long were you there for 3DS?
3DS was almost a week. I went there Tuesday, and then they launched on.
Did people bring you food? Like how
I have a squad that helps me. They come in and they say, "Listen, you need to shower," and I'll go home and I'll shower and I'll stand there for like 3 hours and I'll come back.
That's cool.
So like it's not actually sit out in the street literally and live. When I'm going to sleep, I sleep there and then I wake up and I just stay there. That's disgusting. You gotta go home and shower. But yeah, someone holds my spot while I take care of my hygiene, and then I come back and I groom myself.
And what about how do you pass the time?
Nintendo 3DS, or at that time.
Does it die out there?
When I get back to the house, I'm taking a shower, put it on charger. Yeah. And back then, in the days when it was just still Game Boy Advance, I had batteries, so I would just buy like a huge pack of batteries, Duracell 10-pack and stuff like that.
Okay, and then Wii U, how long did you wait?
The Wii U was a month. That one was a 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah. The Nintendo Wii was a week. Mario 3D Land for the 3DS and the Zelda Skyward Sword was 2 weeks. Because I stood the line 1 week for the Mario 3D Land, which was at Toys R Us in Times Square. The minute I got the game, I then ran over to Nintendo World and stood the line there because the following weekend was the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So that was 2 weeks.
That's intense.
And that was hard. But when
you got to play the game while you're waiting in line, right?
They had a demo upstairs, so you could go upstairs and play it and stuff like that. And Nintendo did a lot of stuff for me. The cool stuff that they did for me.
Why do you think that Nintendo kind of recognized you as that passionate fan and went along with it? You got these photo ops.
Real recognizes real, and Nintendo knows when they have authentic fans, and they always support their authentic fans. I'm a Nintendo fan and consumer. I don't buy Nintendo products because I'm a fanboy, so to speak. I buy Nintendo products because I actually love Nintendo products. I like them. Every time I purchase a Nintendo product and I play a video game, I'm satisfied. I'm happy. So they always get, from a business standpoint, a returning customer. I'm not one of those consumers or supporters that I like you today, but then if something better or cooler comes out tomorrow, I just walk away. That's not me.
Did you like Super Mario 3D World?
Oh, what? That is the best Mario.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What was your game of the year last year? Link Between Worlds or Super Mario 3D World? That's a tough one.
Both, and I'll explain to you why.
You have to choose one.
No, you don't. You can pick 2. As a solo game, Zelda is better. As a multiplayer game, 3D Worlds is.
Which one was the more fun experience?
Of course, 3D Worlds, because you play, you get to share the experience, whereas in Zelda, it's just a single player experience. So that's why I say there's two, because I like playing games socially, and that's what I love about Nintendo. Nintendo brings people together to play video games. And
So game of the year for you was Super Mario 3D World?
it's really Super Mario Brothers 2 for the NES. Just now you get to play with Toad, Peach, Luigi, and Mario. All 4 players together. You can find out all the secrets in the world. Downloadable content would be godlike if Nintendo were to implement new worlds into the game, and then you can just keep playing the game over and over and over again with the new worlds every 3 months or so.
Addicted like drugs.
Yeah. But, Nintendo has a way of focusing certain things. But
what would be your biggest dream as fantasy you hope would happen?
Easy.
To you as a gamer.
As a gamer.
As a Nintendo fan.
As a Nintendo fan.
What would be the best thing that could happen to you?
And I hope this reaches out to Nintendo. Cause actually, EG already knows, and I already spoke to Miyamoto.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help make a Legend of Zelda game called OOT, and that's not Ocarina of Time. It means the Legend of Zelda Order of Time. I'm a fan, but I'm human, and we all have our opinions. And I think the timeline that Hyrule Historia is incorrect. I have a timeline on YouTube, but the timeline predates.
You have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, YouTube, EmpireArcadia.com. Well,
okay.
Just YouTube at Empire Arcadia. And on that YouTube page, I have a timeline of The Legend of Zelda. It's one main street timeline. It breaks off because of Ocarina of Time into the from Wind Waker and beyond, but then it reconnects back into the main timeline and then finishes out with Zelda 2 and then the CDI games, which goes along with the cartoon and all that stuff. But there's one stream timeline, and I think Nintendo, in my opinion, should work to create a Zelda game that has you revisiting every Zelda game there ever was to piece together the timeline as one mainstream timeline, because Ganon has somehow used the Triforce of power to open a gate into the Chronos world where he's controlling the time, and he's like, in order for me to get the Triforce of wisdom and courage, if I can somehow manipulate time and mess it up, Link and Zelda will never exist, and then the Triforce will come to me, and then your Link Prime, the prime spiritual version of Link that keeps getting reincarnated through all the Links in the different times, and that Link has to save all of his other versions of Link. Much like Four Swords Adventures, the green Link is the prime Link, and the other 3 Links are Link as well, but they're alternate time versions of Link. If you look at this is what I do, make a short story, a long story short. In A Link to the Past, in the main timeline, A Link to the Past, when you play the new version that they redid, not A Link Between Two Worlds, their Palace of Four Swords that's the crack in time that merges both timelines. Because in Ocarina of Time it splits and it goes into Wind Waker, and then from Wind Waker you have Spirit Tracks and all the associated like Zelda games, Minish Cap and the rest of them. A lot of people think Minish Cap is in the beginning, but people have a terrible reading comprehension, because it says Minish Cap happens before anything. No, they say that the Picori's legend happened back then, not where Link is.
Yeah.
They talk to Link about the beginning of Hyrule.
We're not info guys.
Huh?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm just lurking. I interviewed Triforce a little bit earlier. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Well, let's incorporate that. Where are you from?
I'm working for Vice, and I'm covering this whole thing for Vice Media. Vice is like, are you familiar with them? We sent Dennis Rodman to North Korea.
Oh.
Like that was like our big masterwork.
Yeah.
One of the bigger ones. Stunt journalism, gonzo journalism.
Yeah.
Being really smart about stuff that's considered really low cultured, and being really low culture about stuff that's very smart.
Smart, okay.
You know, like that type of thing. But how do you two know each other?
He's from a Nintendo community that tries
Nintendo Enthusiast?
Yeah,
Awesome.
Nintendo Enthusiast.
Sick. Like I'd like nice to meet another like Nintendo dog.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's my site. So one of my editors sent me an email saying that he's here. He's like, he's waiting for your interview. So I didn't even know he was here.
Oh, so you're interviewing?
Yeah,
he's interviewing me.
We're recording.
Oh,
no,
fuck.
don't worry. We're.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not gonna be typing now.
So what happens is that in the alternate timeline, Link goes to Four Swords Adventures, and because both timelines have Four Swords Adventures, it merges, because when you play A Link to the Past, there's a Palace of Four Swords, which they can create as a connecting game with the Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. So it's like 2 times with the same timeline happening, or the same thing in time happening, bridged together. To give you an example of that, because a lot of people say that can't work, Triforce, then Nintendo made The Legend of Zelda A Link Between Worlds, which is exactly that's ideal, because there's another version of Hyrule that is happening, which is like the opposite. And when you beat the game, a wish made in one world affected another world. And a lot of people's like, yeah, but you know that how does that bring everything together? And the problem is everyone's trying to logically bring this together, and they have to understand that this is fiction, so there's magic involved in this. So magic doesn't need logic. And like, if the Triforce wishes it, it happens. The world got split. The timeline got split twice because of Zelda. One because of Zelda and one because of Ganon. In Ocarina of Time, when Ganon destroyed the Hyrule and it went on, and Link just defeated Ganon and sealed him, Zelda's mistake was sending Link back in time. When she sent Link back in time to Ocarina of Time, it's as if Ocarina of Time restarted all over again. But this time, Link didn't have to watch Ganon be employed by the king and then have this situation happen. He warned Zelda. So by warning Zelda this time, they changed that main timeline from what's happening. So Zelda gave him the Ocarina, and he got the Epona horse early and whatnot. And it was like, okay, as long as you have the Ocarina and whatnot, we're not going to employ Ganon. None of this will happen ahead of time. So the next game after that is Majora's Mask. And that's why in the main timeline, Ganon in that time is they have a different story for what happened to Ganon in that main timeline, where Ganon had the Triforce, they had to seal him. The imprisoning war happens in the main timeline. They can even make that game in that main timeline. But in the second break of the timeline, Ganon doesn't have the Triforce of Power, because the Triforce of Power, the Triforce was taken away and returned back to the main timeline where Zelda went. So in that world, there is no Triforce per se. It exists in a frozen timeline. That's why in the Palace of the Gods, when you go downstairs, you see Ocarina of Time, Hyrule Temple frozen. And you're like, why is everything down here frozen? Because by creating that time break, you froze a time that was supposed to happen, but it never did, because Zelda accidentally sent Link back home. Eventually, through the stories, they all merge back because Ganon, in A Link to the Past, wishes for the Triforce to create a Hyrule in which he ruled, and the Triforce simply gave him the Dark Hyrule in which he created back in Ocarina of Time. Now, when Link gets the Triforce in Link to the Past, which has Four Swords connected, it said, make a wish in your heart, and the Triforce will grant the greater expression of it. Link wanted everything to return back to normal. And what is the power of the Triforce? Whatever wish you make, it grants a greater expression. So instead of just making that particular moment in time normal, the Triforce fixed every facet of time, as if it just went back on. So his uncle was alive back again, everything went back to normal. And now the true sequel to A Link to the Past is A Link Between Two Worlds. Because in doing that, when the Triforce fixed that time, it never got rid of the Dark World, which is now called Hyrule. So when Ganon did that, Ganon created Hyrule. And then there had to be an altar, and Hyrule has its own adventure, its own story, and the whole 9 yards. It has a black-haired version of Link, a black-haired version of Zelda. They destroyed their Triforce, which is why their world couldn't be governed. But when you beat the game, Zelda and Link make a wish to restore everything again. And Hyrule now got fixed because their Triforce come back. So the mirroring realities of both Hyrule is now a whole again. Both Triforces exist and everything's back to normal.